Welcome back to another episode of Confessions of a Multi-Hyphenate, your bite-sized weekly podcast dedicated to affirming and empowering those of us who have many skills, talents, and abilities. I'm your host, Crystal Henry, a fellow multi-hyphenate living this life right along with you. Let's get started. Episode 2, is your network really your net worth? Navigating connections as a multi-hyphenate. Growing up, I hated the word networking. It was a word that my father used to use when I was a 15, 16-year-old. You got to network, you got to network. And the very first image that would always pop into my head was someone in a business suit with stockings, yes, hosiery, a little pump, and a briefcase. And I thought, I'm 16. That's not at all how I dress. And it was not until I became a 30-something-year-old who was an entrepreneur where I began to really understand what networking meant. And then later on, I began to hear the term, is your network really your net worth? And I really was thinking about that some more because as a multi-hyphenate, as someone who has these multiple careers, passions, interests, we really do have to take a look at our networks and understand how to utilize them more purposefully and how to really pour into them in a more meaningful way. What exactly is networking? And even when I used to work with students, I would talk about this sometime. It is the exchange of information and ideas. It is not you walking around in a business suit with hosiery and a briefcase. It's not you handing out your business card either, because I kind of hate that too. And it's not even necessarily you going to these networking events and having to mingle and eat finger food and have these awkward conversations. It is how you exchange information and ideas with people who you share a common interest with. And it can happen in all kinds of different places. But it's a way for you to build relationships. Is how are you meeting new people? How are you expanding your base? How are you expanding the people that you know who are skilled in a lot of these other or even similar areas or even different areas? A couple of do's for you when you are engaged in networking of any type, and we'll talk about what some of those are. Embrace this, once again, this jack of all trades mindset. You have skills, you have talents. Don't sell yourself short in what it is that you know and what you have the ability to do. This is the time for you to show off with this, okay? And stay teachable. That's another thing, is that even though I may know a lot about creating stationery because I have a greeting card business, I do not know everything. I have to stay teachable and ask questions. They could be technical questions, they could be manufacturing questions, but stay teachable. You don't know everything, but also share what you know with other people. Collaborate with other multi-hyphenates. Again, there's more power that happens when we can group up and work together. Maybe somebody has a skill that you don't have and you can utilize that with them. This podcast is an example of that. I am taping this, filming this, recording this at Resonate Baltimore. I don't know how to do the sound part. I'm not skilled in that, but guess what? I can contract with somebody who's a multi-hyphenate to be able to do that. Another one, attend these events. I know I talked about not walking around with your business card, and that's not what networking is, but you do have to get out there. You cannot think that you're going to build your network and you're going to be able to have people and call somebody if you only stay at home and stay behind the computer or stay behind your phone. Finding those events and conferences that match up with your skill set, where you're going with what you want to know, and making it purposeful. Because the flip side of that is that you can make a life and a business out of going to these conferences. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to be purposeful in what it is that you do and to be curious about the people that you meet. Don't just focus on yourself, but ask questions about them and find out information about them. Now, a couple of don'ts. Again, don't apologize for being a multi-hyphenate. This is not the time to make excuses for who you are. Shine in who you are. Don't act scared. One of my favorite quotes comes from Jennifer Lewis, and she was a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race, one of the seasons, and she said to one of the contestants, "Leave that nervous shit at home. It's boring." And I've never ever forgotten that. And it's so fitting in so many different areas and parts of your life, because you don't want to walk around when you're interacting with new people and acting scared, because they can pick up that fear and then they think, "Oh, she's acting a little weird." Don't do that. Don't mingle with the same people. If you go to a conference, if you go to an event, or you're going somewhere, sit at a different part of the table than you normally sit. Go to a different side of the room than you normally would. Get out the box, all right? Commit to meeting just one new person, okay? And don't let the emphasis of, personal branding kind of box you in. The worst thing that you want to do is to deprive yourself of, kind of living a life that doesn't fit in. And that comes from this article that I read on LinkedIn about how to embrace this multi-hyphenate mindset. So here we go with these 5 tips. I'm not a pastor, so I'm not gonna give you 3 points and I'm out. I'm gonna give you 5 of them. But here we go. When you are networking as a multi-hyphenate and thinking about if your personal, professional, skill-based network is really your net worth, what you want to do, number 1, is to look at your networking as relationship building. Don't just look at it as networking, because again, the first image that pops into my head is somebody in a business suit and stockings and a briefcase. But I have to look at this as we are building a relationship. We are in relationship together. We're building, we're learning. That can happen online and it can happen in person. Make genuine connections with people, and not just thinking about what you can get, and sometimes not even what you can give, but just about getting to know who the person is. And if it is meant to happen, then those things will happen. Okay. And next thing, own who you are as a multi-hyphenate with confidence, okay? And this is the time to, talk about what it is that you do. If you're able to do certain things, this is the time to let that be known, because people want to know who they can call on for different things. But if you don't share what you can do as a multi-hyphenate, nobody's going to know. And I hate when I have to say to somebody, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you knew that. I didn't know you used to do that." But again, when we're building relationships, that's how we learn things about each other. When you're networking, third point, okay, start small and be really strategic about this. You don't have to attend every single event. I talked about earlier, being very purposeful in the events that you do attend. You can start small, start very, very focused. And maybe it's that you are working within some different business groups or some very, very niche down networking events. You can start there and then work your way out. Fourth point, 2 more to go. Look at how you can leverage digital networking. That, believe it or not, is a way to network with people that can be less filled with pressure. You can appropriately slide into somebody's DMs, drop them a little message. You can comment on someone's post. You can give them a compliment. "Oh, I really like that. Congratulations." And begin to develop a connection with people. I can't tell you how many people I have met and connected with online that has led to business opportunities, money in my pocket, opportunities that I passed along to them, collaborations. It has led to a lot. And it's also a joke that my husband will say, "Who is this? Somebody else that you met online? One of your Instagram friends?" And I will immediately say, "Why, yes, it is one of my Instagram friends that has become a real connection in real life." It's possible to do. And the fifth point for how to leverage networking as a multi-hyphenate is to follow up with people, right? Do what you say you're going to do, be of value to people. And it's not only about what you can get, but it is about what you can contribute to people. If you see an opportunity, you can pass it along to them. If you see it online, I can forward this to somebody. Hey, girl, thought about you. You just want to pass this your way. That's a way to do that. I might forward an email to somebody about an opportunity or a grant. People then do that with me. That's how we build connections and those relationships. So once again, you have to look at networking as relationship building, own who you are as a multi-hyphenate with confidence, start small and strategic, leverage that digital networking, and finally follow up and be of value. Now, Michelle Obama comes with our quote for this week. Success isn't about how much money you make. It's about the difference you make in people's lives. And that's exactly what networking is. And that's what's going to build your net worth, is that what kind of difference am I making in your life? It's not only about what you can give to me, but it is about what I can give to you. Now, your multi-hyphenate move of the week. Here's your challenge. Reach out to one person. We've got 7 days. I'll be back with you next week, but reach out to somebody. And yes, you can do this digitally. You can even do this through text. You can do this through email. You can even do it in person, but connect with somebody, because you never know where that connection might lead you. That's the end of this episode, all talking about networking, and for you to evaluate, is your network really your net worth? So thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Confessions of a Multi-Hyphenate. I encourage you to implement the tip. This is not about perfection, but it is about progress. This is going to help you to fine-tune your focus and to keep you inspired. But before you go, please do not forget to subscribe, hit those stars, share this with another multi-hyphenate. And I'll see you next week for another topic of how we can navigate this life together.